I never set out to hide my success. Growing up in a modest Boston household, I learned that hard work and humility mattered far more than status. My father, a mechanic, came home each night with grease-stained hands and a weary smile, while my mother juggled back-to-back shifts as a nurse, determined to put me through college. Emily, she often reminded me, success isn't about what you own, it's about who you are. Her words stayed with me. By 23, I had launched a consulting firm from my garage. 2 years later, it had grown into M-Tech Solutions, a company now worth over $200 million. Yet, I preferred working in the background, keeping a low profile. Then I met Michael. We crossed paths in a neighborhood coffee shop. I was buried in contract reviews, dressed in my usual jeans and sweater, when he accidentally knocked over my coffee. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," he stammered, scrambling to save my papers. I couldn't help but laugh. "It's fine," I assured him, despite the fact that those documents outlined acquisition deals worth millions. His genuine panic was oddly endearing. "Let me make it up to you," he insisted. "I'm Michael, by the way." "Emily," I replied with a smile, "and sure, I'll take you up on that coffee." That coffee led to dinner, and dinner led to something more. Michael was unlike anyone I'd ever met, kind, grounded, and passionate about his work as a high school teacher. He never pried into my financial status, mainly because he had no idea. I told him I worked as an executive assistant at M-Tech Solutions. It wasn't entirely untrue, I did oversee administrative operations. I just left out the part where I owned the company. I wanted to be valued for who I was, not what I had. Everything was perfect until I met his mother, Victoria. Victoria Patterson was the embodiment of social ambition. Her home was filled with imitation designer goods, and her conversations revolved around fabricated connections to high society. From our very first dinner, she made her disapproval clear. "A secretary?" she asked, her tone sharp. "Michael, darling, didn't I introduce you to a surgeon's daughter?" "Mom," Michael sighed, clearly frustrated. But she wasn't done. "I just think, given our family's status, you should aim higher. The Pattersons have always married well." The irony wasn't lost on me. Michael had already confided that their status was mostly smoke and mirrors, held together by credit card debt and appearances. "I like my job," I said simply. "It's fulfilling." Victoria sniffed. "Well, someone has to do those things, I suppose." Her passive-aggressive remarks became a staple at family gatherings. At Christmas, while everyone else received thoughtful gifts, I got a plain office planner. "For keeping your boss's schedule," she said with a smirk. Michael apologized in private but never confronted her outright. I understood family dynamics could be complicated. Then came the announcement that changed everything. One Sunday dinner, Victoria stormed into the room, waving a newspaper. "M-Tech Solutions is looking for a new CEO. This is my chance." I nearly choked on my wine. While it was true we were searching for a CEO, the selection process was rigorous. "You're applying?" Michael asked, startled. "Of course, after 20 years in MLM management, it's time I moved into the big leagues," she declared, turning to me. "Emily, put in a good word for me, would you? Though I doubt your recommendation holds much weight." I kept my expression neutral. "I'll see what I can do." "Oh, don't bother," she waved dismissively. "I've already called in favors. The board will be impressed by my credentials." She had no idea I was the board. The following week, Victoria strutted into M-Tech Solutions for her interview, dressed in an over-the-top power suit. From my private office, I watched as she loudly touted her qualifications in the lobby. "Mrs. Patterson," my assistant called, "the board is ready for you." Victoria straightened her posture and marched into the conference room, only to freeze the moment she saw me seated at the head of the table, flanked by board members. "Emily?" she sputtered. "What are you doing here?" "Running my company," I said evenly. "Please, have a seat." Her face paled as realization set in. This can't be." "It is," a board member confirmed. "M. Walker is our founder and majority shareholder." Victoria's carefully curated facade began to crumble. She sank into a chair as I opened her application file. "Let's discuss your qualifications," I said. "All business." Her resume was a minefield of exaggerations, and as I dissected each claim, her confidence unraveled. Every supposed achievement, every high-powered connection, exposed as fiction. Finally, I closed the folder. I think we're done here. Your application is disqualified due to misrepresentation. You can't do this, she cried. This is personal. No, I replied calmly. It's professional. I met Victoria's glare head-on. Since you brought up personal matters, yes, I've endured your insults and condescension for months. But this isn't revenge, Victoria. It's accountability. She stormed out, muttering threats about exposing me to Michael. I was already ahead of her, reaching for my phone. It was time Michael knew the truth. Minutes later, he walked into my office, his expression a mix of concern and confusion. Mom just called me crying. She said you're her boss. Emily, what's going on? I motioned for him to sit, taking a deep breath. Michael, there's a lot I need to explain. I wasn't completely honest about who I am. I didn't want to complicate things, but now it's unavoidable. Can I show you something? He followed my gaze to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, then to my desk, where a sleek nameplate read Emily Walker, founder and CEO. His eyes flicked to the framed awards and newspaper articles covering the rise of MTech solutions. Slowly, he turned back to me. So, you're not a secretary. His voice was measured. No, I admitted, standing beside him. I founded MTech when I was 23. The company your mom mocked me for working at, I built it from the ground up. Hurt flashed in his eyes. Why would you hide this? Why lie? Because I wanted to be seen for who I am, not what I own, I said. Do you know how many people have tried to get close to me because of my money? I wanted to experience love without wealth clouding it. Michael exhaled, rubbing his jaw. I get that. But, you let my mother treat you like dirt. You could have stopped this months ago. And what would that have done? Proved her obsession with status, right? That wealth determines someone's value? I shook my head. I wasn't going to play her game. He ran a hand through his hair. You're right. I should have defended you. I failed you there. Before I could respond, the office door burst open. Victoria barged in, dragging her husband, George, behind her. There she is. The liar. The manipulator, she shrieked. George, ever the quiet observer, sighed. Emily, this feels inappropriate. Rejecting Victoria over personal issues? I recorded the entire interview, I cut in, pressing a button. Victoria's stammering responses filled the room. This wasn't personal. Your wife lied on her application. The board made their decision based on facts. Victoria's face twisted. You think you've won? Just wait until everyone hears about this, the so-called genius CEO who pretended to be a secretary just to trick her way into our family. Mom, stop. Michael's voice thundered through the office. Do you hear yourself? You're humiliating all of us. Humiliating? She's the liar here. Victoria spat. Michael shook his head. No. Emily lied about one thing, her job. You've lied about everything else. Our family's status, your connections, your achievements. It's all been a facade, and I'm done enabling it. Victoria's mouth opened, then closed. George placed a firm hand on her shoulder. Let's go, Victoria, he said quietly. This has gone too far. Her eyes burned with fury. This isn't over. You'll regret this, both of you. The door slammed behind them, leaving silence in their wake. Michael turned to me, his face weary but resolute. I'm sorry for everything my family put you through. But I need to know, where do we go from here? Before I could answer, my assistant buzzed in. Miss Walker, sorry to interrupt, but Mrs. Patterson is in the lobby causing a scene. Security is asking how to proceed. Michael and I exchanged a look. We handle it together, he said. I pressed the intercom. Send the security footage to my laptop and stand by. Only intervene if she disrupts operations. On the screen, Victoria paced the lobby, stopping employees to rant about me. Most ignored her. Then she pulled out her phone. "She's stealing clients," Victoria shouted. "I have proof, financial documents from Patterson Insurance." A chill ran through me. "Those are confidential," I murmured. Michael's face paled. "She works in middle management at Patterson. She must have accessed the files." I was already dialing. "Mr. Patterson, this is Emily Walker. Your employee, Victoria Patterson, is in my lobby threatening to expose confidential client information." "Yes, I'll hold." Victoria's voice blared over the screen. "I'll ruin her. She's been poaching our best clients." A sharp, authoritative voice cut through the chaos. Victoria Patterson. A poised woman in a suit approached, flanked by two men. "I'm Susan Chen, legal counsel for Patterson Insurance. You are hereby suspended pending investigation for violating your non-disclosure agreement and attempted corporate espionage." Victoria stumbled back. "No, you don't understand." "We understand perfectly," Susan said coldly. "Your access to confidential files has been monitored for weeks. This public outburst only confirmed our suspicions." Michael watched in stunned silence as his mother was escorted away, her protests growing fainter. He turned to me. "Emily. I didn't know she was capable of this." "It's not your fault," I said gently. "But we need to address this openly. With your family, with mine, and with us." Michael nodded, his voice steady. "Together." As security led Victoria out of the building, he turned to me, his brow furrowed. "You knew about her job performance?" I hesitated. "I found out during merger discussions. I was planning to help her transition into a role better suited to her skills. That's part of why I kept my identity hidden. I needed to understand the situation before making decisions that would impact your family." Michael exhaled, looking at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, he reached for my hand. "No more secrets?" he asked. "No more secrets," I promised. And for the first time in months, the weight between us finally lifted. Mr. Patterson, standing nearby, shook his head with a faint smile. "Always thinking of others, Emily. It's one of the reasons I agreed to the merger in the first place." He straightened his jacket, his demeanor shifting to something more resolute. "Don't worry about Victoria. We'll handle the legal aspects with discretion, for Michael's sake." When he left, silence settled over the room. Michael sat across from me, staring out the window, lost in thought. "I need some time," he said after a long pause. "This is a lot." I nodded, trying to keep my voice steady. "Take all the time you need." At the door, he hesitated, glancing back at me. "For what it's worth, I fell in love with Emily the secretary. Knowing you're Emily the CEO doesn't change that. It just means I have more to learn about you." After he left, I stayed at my desk, watching the city lights flicker on as night crept in. My phone buzzed, a message from George, Michael's father. "Victoria's home. Devastated. She knows what she's lost. When you're ready, we should talk, all of us. Family shouldn't end like this." A week later, I buried myself in work, giving Michael and his family the space they needed. Meanwhile, the media had caught wind of Victoria's public meltdown. Corporate espionage involving two merging companies was too scandalous to ignore. Fortunately, both company PR teams managed to contain the damage. One late evening, as I was reviewing merger documents, my assistant buzzed in. "Miss Walker, the Patterson family is here to see you." They entered together, George, leading with calm authority, Michael, his face unreadable, and finally, Victoria. Her usual confidence had vanished, replaced by a tentative, vulnerable air. She wore simple business attire, a stark contrast to her usual designer wardrobe. "Emily," George began, his voice measured. "We need to talk. All of us." Victoria stepped forward, wringing her hands. "I've been in therapy this past week. Intensive sessions. Losing the promotion, it broke me. Everything I built my identity around, my importance, my connections, it all crumbled. You tried to hold on by grabbing more, I said quietly. She nodded, tears welling in her eyes. When I saw the CEO posting, I convinced myself I deserved it, that everyone else had been holding me back. Then, learning the truth about you, it shattered what little I had left. Mom, Michael said gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. There's more you need to tell her. Victoria took a shaky breath. I've struggled for years. Shopping addiction, fabricating stories about our family's status. It all started when George's business hit trouble a decade ago. Instead of facing reality, I created a fantasy. It felt easier than admitting we weren't who I pretended us to be. George spoke up, his voice heavy with regret. And I enabled it. I thought keeping up appearances would keep us afloat, but it only made things worse. The merger, is it still happening? Victoria asked hesitantly. I nodded. Yes. Your actions hurt both companies, but they don't erase 2 decades of service. The merger includes a retirement package for long-term employees. It's yours if you want it. Victoria's eyes widened in disbelief. After everything I've done? Everyone deserves a second chance, I said. But there are conditions, continued therapy, working with HR on a transition plan, and most importantly, honesty. With yourself and others. Victoria broke down, her walls finally crumbling. I'm sorry, Emily. For everything. For how I treated you, the things I said. Michael moved to my side and took my hand. We've all learned something, he said. Mom, about honesty. Dad, about enabling. Me, about standing up for what's right. And me, I finished, about trusting people with the truth. Moving forward. 2 months later, Victoria retired quietly. The merger proceeded smoothly. She found new purpose volunteering at a financial literacy program, helping others avoid the mistakes she made. At our wedding the following spring, she gave a heartfelt speech that left few dry eyes. A year ago, I thought status and appearances were everything. But my daughter-in-law taught me that true worth lies in how you treat others. Emily, thank you for giving our family a second chance, not because you're a CEO, but because you're a compassionate human being. Michael squeezed my hand under the table. We had rebuilt our relationship on a foundation of truth, moving past lies and pretenses. Looking around, I saw our merged families, George chatting with my father about business, Victoria helping my mother arrange flowers, our employees mingling with relatives. Success, I realized, meant nothing without people to share it with. Happy? Michael whispered. Very, I replied with a grin. Though. I do miss that secretary desk sometimes. He laughed. Well, you did say your assistant's going on maternity leave. Don't tempt me, I teased. I might just go undercover again. Victoria overheard and joined our laughter, genuine this time, free from pretense. She had found something far more valuable than status's peace with who she truly was. As the celebration continued, I thought back to that first accidental coffee spill. It had led to this moment, proving that sometimes life's biggest blessings come disguised as chaos. Looking around at the people I loved, I knew success wasn't measured in dollars or titles. It was measured in second chances, hard truths, and the courage to be authentically yourself.